Welcome everybody to the 51st episode of the #InvestThis podcast. I'm your host, Scott Bauer, and today, lucky to have Andrew LeBaron here with Flippin Paper. Andrew, how you doing?
Excellent, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Love to have you here. Why don't you give the listeners a little bit more about your background? I know I mentioned he is with Flippin Paper, co-founder of flippinpaper.com. We'll talk about that a little bit. But go ahead, give the listeners a little bit more about your background, what you're focused on, how you're doing things out there.
Awesome. So flippinpaper.com is a place where you can find properties to purchase. You can learn how to flip and wholesale and do other creative strategies in real estate. It's also a place where you can find our show. We have a YouTube channel, Wholesaling Houses Flippin Paper. And we wanted to give back to the community by creating step-by-step tutorials of how to wholesale, how to comp properties, how to find a real estate or a piece of real estate and make money off it, monetize it somehow. We do anything from, like I said, wholesale, flipping, fix and flip, to even setting up a master lease on a rental property where you don't even own it. You're never going to own equity, but you just create cash flow by leasing it out on short-term rental platforms like Airbnb, VRBO. We do a lot of stuff, but anything around residential, mostly residential real estate.
So, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, as flipping paper, you can flip paper in all different aspects. You can flip apartment complexes, commercial buildings, single-family houses, condos, townhomes. Doesn't matter, right? Why is it that you're primarily focused on single-family instead of branching out to other areas?
You know, I think that's a part that we can add a little bit later. I wanted to start first with the audience that's close to home. You know, there are more people focused on residential than there are commercial. There's more fish in that pond. With the commercial, where the big dogs are hanging, there's a lot less fish, and everybody knows each other. So we'd rather expand to something that's more relevant to people that are learning real estate, and that's residential. They don't start in commercial. So
Right. That's definitely true. Well, let's go ahead and back up the train then, and we'll get to how and where did you get started in real estate? How'd you get your first deal, or how'd you get started? Was it being a realtor, or let's talk about that for a minute.
Right on, man. So I started off not as a realtor. I started off as a mortgage banking customer service specialist. And I was at Chase Bank. I was taking phone calls, and this guy calls in. He's like, I got 13 Southern California properties, SoCal. These are areas in Santa Monica, Mission Beach, what's that place? Newport. And he's like, I need a payoff quote for all 13. So I was like, okay, cool. That's what I do. I give payoff quotes to people. So I'm this dud on the phone making $12 an hour, sending this guy a payoff quote. And I noticed that his name's not on the loan. I was like, wait a minute, you own these homes, but your name's not on the loan. He's like, yeah, man, I don't really have time to explain it. I'm authorized. I took over these payments on these properties subject to. I get off the phone with him. I get on the phone with him later. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm about to make like $4 or $5 million. I got a portfolio buyer who's going to pick up all 13 SoCal properties at a discount. I took over these properties when they were in pre-foreclosure. I was like, dude, I'm in the wrong freaking business. Like, this is amazing. Like, I need to set up shop and do what you do. And he's like, yeah, he didn't really give me the time of day. He didn't want to mentor me or anything like that. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. Why don't you go check out biggerpockets.com when you get a chance? That's where I kind of learned and started, my wheels started to churn a little bit. And I'm like, man, I got to get in this game. I found a local mentor in Phoenix. I didn't last long with him, but he taught me just a few techniques in negotiating deals. I actually closed a deal with him, and I rehabbed a house. I barely made any profit on it, but that's how I got started.
That's a really unique and interesting way to get started. Actually, most people I talk to don't have that background, so that's phenomenal to hear that. Man, how long ago was that?
Oh, like 3.5 years ago.
Okay, so not really that long if you think about it. Actually not at all. 3.5 years ago. So was it 2013, 2014, something like that? 2014, I guess. Yep.
Okay. 2014, and I was married with a kid, and I did one deal. I actually bought it on Hubzu. That was my first one. I bought it. It was in Sunny Slope off of Becker Lane. You know exactly where that's at.
No, right where that's at.
I bought it for $100K. I sold it to someone in the same neighborhood for $145. I put $15K into it. I used, Chris Simon. I used him to lend, and I barely made anything on it, but I was so happy because I did my first deal. It didn't matter. And I told my wife I'm quitting my job. I'm going to do this. She's like, you did one deal and you're going to quit your job. Shut up. So we made it work.
So, okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. So you were 2013 or 14, you did your first deal. And then what came after that? For the listeners out there that are just doing their first deal, for the ones that are maybe have done a few deals, what's the next step, or what was your track?
You know what? The next step, I had to make a decision. Did I want to create and pick a niche in fix and flip, or did I want to do something a lot quicker, a lot easier, something that I can do part-time, like wholesale? To me, anybody can wholesale if they learn the right techniques and they have the right tools, right? You need a seller, you need a buyer, you need tools to find the seller, you need tools to sell it to the buyer. So there's a lot in between from A to Z. So I said, I'm going to do wholesale. That was in the, I would say, direct mail boom. In fact, direct mail was like at an all-time high. I think what's his name was over Yellow Letters HQ. Can't remember his name, but anyways, I bought like 10,000 mail pieces and just went crazy in Phoenix, and lost a lot of great leads. I burned a lot of good deals. I screwed myself over many times, but that's what I had to do to learn how to recognize a deal, make offers on deals, and sell them. So
yep.
I think one of my first sell deals, I just downloaded a Google document of some assignment contract. I had no idea what I was doing.
That's funny. Well, actually, that's how simple it is, though. I mean, anybody out there that knows how wholesaling works, it's a very simple process. And you're right. Anybody can do it. You don't need a real estate license. You don't need any sort of license or credentials in order to do it. You need to do those 4 things that you talked about. You need to find a buyer and a seller, or really first a seller and a buyer. And you also need to have tools to be able to find both of those. Now, what's been the biggest deal you've done so far? So is it just wholesaling that you're doing now for the most part?
Yeah, it's mostly wholesale. We will fix and flip like the big dogs that come our way, but we would rather take the quick cash and move on to the next, feed our buyers. We have some pretty hungry ones out here. If we can pick something up at 40 or 50% of loan to or ARV, then yeah, we'll probably do it in a hot market. But we would actually rather take the quick 25, 30 grand rather than wait for the 40, 50K in 3 months. So, you know what? I think a big emphasis or focus on us right now is the market's changing, and I might need to shut my mouth and let you ask this question later, but is seller finance and creative deals. And funny enough, Scott, I actually got super enthusiastic about it when I went to a place with you to Wendy Patton's. Remember that? Wendy Patton's option thing?
Yep. Actually, the three of us bought it. I think it was the 3 of us that bought into it. I never did anything with it, but clearly you have.
I looked at it. I didn't really play much with it. I actually kind of favored Joe McCall's strategy over Wendy Patton's. Wendy Patton's awesome.
Yeah. Both people are great. That's true. So is that, I mean, have you found deals out that way? Because you're right. Creative financing now is a very powerful tool, especially as interest rates continue to rise, right? If you can get into somebody's loan where they have a 3% loan or something like that, and you can take over their payments subject to existing financing, and they have 10 or 15 years already paid down on that note, God, what a better deal could you find, right? I mean, that's the phenomenal part. So speaking of that, why don't we talk about that for a minute? We'll give the listeners a little quick lesson on what that is, how you do that, how do we have a conversation with the seller about that, et cetera. I'll let you take that over.
Sounds good, man. So when we talk to sellers, when we cold call or drop our RVMs or mailers or door knock or however we contact the seller, the first conversation that we're going to have is assessing what they need. Do they need it now or do they need it later? There's only 2. I need the money now or I can take it later. There's only 2 ways to buy a house, cash or terms. There's no other way. Okay. If you want to sell your boat or Uncle John's boat for the house, that means you're doing it later. I mean, that's a terms deal. So I can give you $50K for your property, or I can give you $100K over the span of 7 years. So I decided, hey, everybody and their dog is offering cash. Like everybody's offering cash. Okay. If you go to the Sean Terry, the Robert Kiyosaki, the Clever Investor meetups or groups or seminars, you're learning wholesale deals. Offer 70% of ARV, subtract rehab, and so I said, all right, team, let's get a little more creative. Let's offer what nobody's offering. Let's offer the full price after we offer cash. So the conversation goes like this: Mr. Seller, what is most important to you? What is it that you would like to see? What do you need? After we assess that they got 20,000 cash offers from all these other dudes, we're going to say, great, well, we're here to offer you more. And they go, what? Yeah, well, we're going to offer you more. You could settle for less, or you could take my offer, which is more. You make more money. They go, what? So we talk about the creative finance process. And then they say something to the effect of, well, I actually need X amount of dollars today. And we say, I understand that, but I'm willing to give you 4% on your money. Okay, 4% interest, or 5% on your money. Okay. And I'll even add a prepayment penalty. Now, I know I'm throwing stuff at your listeners that they're probably like, whoa, what's going on? What I mean by that is, if some cash buyer offered 70, I'm going to offer 80K. Okay, I'm going to pay $3,000 down. I'm going to make monthly payments of principal and interest at 4%. That's amortized over 30 years. And I'm going to pay the whole balance in a 7-year balloon. I'm going to pay it all off early. So my payments on an $80,000 loan at 4% could be hovering around the $400, $500 range. That's just principal and interest. So the seller starts to think, wow, I'm going to make more money in the end. And I calculate it and I send it to them in an email. I say, hey, look, you can take Jim's offer of 70K and walk away, or you can take my offer and actually make $100,000. Okay.
You choose.
You choose. Yeah. You want $100,000 or 70K for the house. It's up to you.
Yep.
So if you're patient, you're going to make more money. So that's a niche that I've really carved out for our team. And it's been working amazingly. We've been able to pick up properties for ourselves. We've expanded our portfolio. We wholesale most of them just because they're quick and easy deals. I actually find a lot of buyers in the Latin American market that love these types of deals where they can just take over payments and just jump in. It's awesome. So it's kind of my niche.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a great niche, and that's something that is very powerful. It's not for everybody though. Not everybody's in that position where they want to take those terms. They need cash today. If somebody wants to move, they want to buy another property and they need it, and they need the cash in order to buy the next property. That could be a reason why maybe they don't want to do that. But for the right person, and you never know until you ask, right? This is a big thing. If you don't ask, you'll never know the answer. So when you're out there having conversations with these sellers, just ask one simple question. I mean, would you be interested in making more money later? Do you need all the money today? And you can get a lot of deals out of it that way. So
one of the great questions I ask, and when they say that, well, I gotta have money to move. And a question, well, how much money do you need to move? Well, I want to buy another house. I understand that, Mr. Seller, but what's going to happen if you don't sell your house? I'm going to rent it. Okay, great. Rent it to me. I will be your tenant. You see how it's all coming back. Everything leads back to me.
Right.
And it just takes some time and lots of practice.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things. You're right. Practice makes perfect. So it does take a long time. Once again, going through that motion with multiple sellers over and over and over and over and over again, right? That's interesting. I think that probably the listeners out there are probably pretty intrigued with this type of strategy. Is there other types of creative financing that you're doing other than just seller financing?
Yeah, so we do something called a master lease, which we love for, and I think you and I have talked about this, but I will rent out properties that we never own.
Yep.
We never have equitable interest in. In fact, we, as you know, master lease is a popular apartment complex phrase. That's funny enough. A seller even asked me, "Do you buy and sell apartment complexes too?" Like, you say master lease a lot. I'm like, no, I don't. Is where control, right? No equity. No. I'm not a principal. We control without ownership, but I mean, I control the property itself. And I like to control it for a span of 3 to 5 years. And then I'm able to upgrade and improve the house. I tell the landlord, look, you're asking for $1,200 on Craigslist. I'll give you $1,225. You gonna sign a lease with me? They don't say no. And they say, well, why would you offer me more? Are you a scammer? No, I'm a professional host, and I put your property up on short-term rental platforms, and I treat your house better than any other tenant would in their life. I actually clean it 4 times a month minimum with professional cleaners, and you can enter the property at any time. Okay, no other tenant's going to do that for you. Plus, I upgrade the house with smart home technology, including Nest thermostat, keypad entry. I mean, you're going to have a nice house. You just need to give me 3 years to control it.
Right. Now, why would somebody not want to do that? So let's say the listeners out there might be thinking, oh, wow, that sounds phenomenal. Gosh, that sounds great. Why would somebody not want to do that where they only control it? They're only bringing in cash. Why, why would that not be appealing to somebody?
A lot of times we run into landlords that they're just kind of wary of the situation. They're like, whoa, this guy sounds weird. Even though we send them proof, we send them really aesthetic email, we send them a video even in email format, showcasing our references, like how we do these things. It's very professionally done. They don't, the reason why a landlord wouldn't want to is because they do not control the rent. We do. We're able to control how much we earn on the back end. They also don't like it because they think, I mean, this is a common rebuttal. Well, what if someone trashes my house? My insurance
Who's responsible?
Who's responsible? And so there is a third-party insurance company that we could set up for your property. It's going to cost me a fortune, but they cover short-term investment properties and Airbnb properties. It's kind of a Hail Mary insurance company. But they'll cover as much as we pay for on the premium. That's another one. Why else do they say no? They don't like the commitment.
I mean, a lot of it too, because I've talked to sellers about this. And I've talked to other landlords, and sometimes they don't want the they just, it's a weird feeling. They don't want to have that type of commitment to somebody that's not an actual renter that's not actually going to be there. You might not feel comfortable with that. So at that point, you probably have to just help them to get over that problem, right?
Yeah. And if they don't feel comfortable, we don't really push it. We just say, okay, no problem. Take a look at my references. Call the other landlords on my list. Take a look at my properties. Here's the listings on my properties. And then they see the listings and like, whoa, cashmere rugs. Whoa, these couches look great. Wow, these homes look pristine. And I say, yes, it's a hotel business. I'm in the hotel business. Okay, I have a whole, right? I mean, it's hospitality, right? It's a whole different ballgame. It's not wholesaling. It's very different. And it doesn't fit everybody. I promise you that. If you don't like flossing cat teeth, don't do it.
So here's another question. You now explained two different sides of your business, right? How big is the operation? How many people do you have in this operation to make this work? Are you growing? Is it, all the above?
Yeah, we have 12 properties and we have students that have properties as well. Yeah, it is growing. It's very selective. We only select properties where we can get decent spread and properties that are in desirable areas where it's very hot. For example, in my market, South Scottsdale is a hot place. Tempe is a hot place. If you can believe it, North Mesa, downtown Gilbert's hot. Parts of Chandler. That's pretty much it. Central Phoenix is really good too. But other areas, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even think about it. Yeah, it is expanding. Our operation is pretty decent. We have 3 cleaning crews, 2 maintenance crews. We got lots of handymen. We have virtual assistants on the back end, always messaging guests, welcoming them to their stay, accommodating them. It's actually a lot bigger than meets the eye if you really get to think about it. A lot of messages going back and forth that I'm copied on just to make sure that everything's under control. I'm about to remove myself completely from it. I've just kind of kept my eyeball on it for a year and a half now, and it's going really well.
That's phenomenal. I love to hear that, removing yourself piece by piece to eventually get all the way out, as I think every entrepreneur's dream. There's some people like myself that have a control problem and can't do it, but that's very good for you and good to hear. I guess when I was talking about the team, I was thinking, do you believe in the theory, stay small, keep it all, or get bigger and spread it out? I mean,
the latter by far. I give it all away because I'm a volume guy. The more value you can give more people, the more value will multiply as time goes on. If there was a graph right here, you'd see that as value increases and time increases, your exponential growth is going to be like this. It's going to shoot up. Whereas if you try to keep it all, you might gradually grow, but it's going to be a lot slower, and I'm not looking for that. And I don't criticize. There's people out there that are mom and pop, fellas that just want to, do a deal, take all the profits, do another deal, take all the profits. It's funny. I talk to people that wholesale or do deals like this, and they don't have a team. They don't have VAs. They don't have assistants. They don't have nobody. And I'm like, dude, what is your marketing cost? They're like, oh, it's pretty low. How many deals you do a month? 1, 2. But if you think about it, that's all profit practically. I
It's
guess
different.
but I don't really like that. It doesn't really satiate me.
Right. And you know, everybody's there, because I have both sides of it too. You have both different sides of whether you want to have a big team, you want to have a small team, you want to have a big operation, small operation. You know, it all depends on the lifestyle that you want to live, and how you want to, you know, how you just want to go about business, for sure. But at the end of the day, you can't do it all yourself. So you must grow, you must get a team, all the above.
For example,
What?
Isaac had, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go tell the story, please.
Isaac had a deal about over a year ago that we were going to close, or we're going to put under contract, but the numbers just didn't really pan out. So he actually persuaded the seller to be a landlord of the property, and we were going to do a master lease on it where we can officially sublease on short-term rentals. And we actually had another investor come in and foot the bill for the furniture, for all the furniture. So we had the virtual assistant team contact the furniture broker, get everything set up, took the investor capital. We wrote up a deal with the investor that it would be a partner deal. And that one we just locked in. It should be live this week. I'll have to send you some photos of it. It's in Scottsdale. It's off of 64th and Gene. So, I mean, it's so creative, man. It's so different. Very little people are doing these type of deals, but
yeah,
I'm talking about the Waste Management Open coming here pretty soon. It's going to blow up, and people are paying. You'd be very surprised what people are paying a month.
I mean, I have one in South Scottsdale that's close on 68th and Thomas, and that one just for that weekend, it's like $4,000 just for that weekend. So you know, it's a good time. Really, over these next 3 months are going to be phenomenal time in the Airbnb and vacation rental world. So what's next? What does the next 5 years look like for you guys? How do you grow? How do you expand? What are you looking forward to?
So we would like to publish a couple books that help the beginner and the intermediate investor get started. We have actually have plans to do that this year. We also want to create a larger community of investors that are jumping into the creative game. So again, like I told you, what makes my head tick, what makes my heart pound is creativity.
Right.
We have enough wholesale dudes out there teaching wholesale. And funny enough, we still teach it, you know, we do really well in multiple markets. We're in 2 markets right now, DFW and Phoenix, but I really want to focus on something that makes me super passionate, and that's creative financing. We also want to teach people how to build a viable wholesale business on a budget. And that's being done in the Flippin Paper group. If you go to flippinpaper.com/free courses, you'll see a couple courses there that you could take today to learn a couple of the strategies that we implement in our businesses now. So we really just want to build a lot of community and collaboration with those who are learning to start or who want to advance their operations.
That sounds really, really, really phenomenal, man. And I can hear that you want to put an impact in other people's life, which is super, super important. There's your why on why we do this. Of course, everybody in this business knows you can make a ton of money. But at the end of the day, making a ton of money isn't really all that fun. I mean, you know, it's fun when you get it, you know, you buy something cool, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The impact that you have on other people and on your community or whatever it is really what's fulfilling. So hats off to you for doing that. I appreciate you sharing kind of a little bit about your creative financing and what you're doing that way, how you're helping people and getting people, you know, into the creative financing side and understanding more about it. So you can go out there and beat the wholesalers that are only offering 70 cents on the dollar cash offer, right? And also, you know, you're taking a creative stance to the vacation rental side of things. Here in Arizona, where we both live, you know, it's a great vacation spot. Vacation rental properties are very, very popular and they do very well. But you found another way just to make it even more creative. So I appreciate you sharing that wisdom with us.
Hey, thank you, man.
Andrew, I appreciate you being here today. And Isaac too, you didn't say much. I hear you kind of in the background, but I appreciate both of you guys being here.
Hey, just slaving away while Andrew makes us all the money, man. You know?
Hey, I guess everybody's got a role to play, right? I mean, that's
He's actually behind the operation. I swear, I'm the guy so Gary Vaynerchuk talks about clouds and dirt. I think he actually has shoes, the K-Swiss, clouds and dirt. So he talks about the clouds, and you already know this, but for your listeners that don't know, the clouds and dirt, on your team, you got people that are so high up here, and this is me. I'm so up here in Imagine Land. Like, I wake up with unicorns, okay? I got unicorns dancing around my head. I probably something funky in the morning. I don't know what I mean. But anyways, I'm so loopy. I'm up here. Isaac's very down to earth. Isaac's the guy that grounds me, says, hey, man, let's pencil this out. Let's figure this out. Let's take this step by step. If I didn't have him, I'd be helpless, man. It'd be bad.
Man, that is hilarious. But hey, that's how a good team works. Appreciate you sharing that. And oh yeah, one more thing. You mentioned it. Where can the listeners where can they find you? They want to learn more about flippinpaper.com, or if they want to, I don't know, get involved, maybe want to be one of your investors to invest in some other furniture for you on another property. Where can they find you?
Absolutely. So they can find us online at flippinpaper.com, or they can definitely join our Facebook group, Wholesaling Houses Flippin Paper.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Andrew, thanks again for being here, man. We will talk to you real soon.
Sounds good, buddy. Thank you.
Okay. See ya.